With Red Bull not in contention for victory for the first time in the 2023 F1 season, a fierce battle unfolded among Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton in the closing laps. They were all vying for the honour of becoming the first non-Red Bull race winner of the season. Unfortunately for one of them, his race ended in the worst way possible, crashing out just before the race ended, undoing all his hard work. Let's take a look at George Russell's spectacular blunder on Sunday. At one point, it seemed that George Russell had positioned himself favourably for the win. Mercedes had taken a gamble with a two-stop strategy, allowing Russell to close in on the leading duo of Sainz and Norris, thanks to his fresher tyres. But for Russell, things took a drastic turn for the worse. On the final lap of the Singapore Grand Prix, Russell unfortunately crashed while making a spirited bid to overtake Lando Norris for the second spot. This dramatic incident unfolded just a few corners away from the finish line. Russell, who was driving for Mercedes, was in pursuit of Norris as they both approached turn 10. It's worth mentioning that Russell was equipped with fresher medium tyres, whereas Norris was relying on well-used hard tyres at the time. In a heart-pounding moment, it appeared that Russell made contact with the wall, causing his car to skid off into the runoff area. His reaction was palpable as he dramatically shouted "No" on the team radio in sheer exasperation. Russell had showcased remarkable speed and performance throughout the latter part of the race, making his unfortunate crash all the more disheartening. As a result of this crash, George Russell's teammate Lewis Hamilton ascended to the podium in Singapore. Carlos Sainz emerged as the dramatic victor at Marina Bay on that fateful Sunday, while Lando Norris clung to second place. But upon further reflection, it's clear that Russell harboured a deep sense of frustration regarding how his race concluded prematurely. This frustration was compounded by his ambitious aspirations of clinching a victory at Marina Bay on that very Sunday. While speaking to Sky Sports F1 in a very vulnerable state following the race, Russell said, "No words, to be honest. Such a long race, physical race, difficult to keep concentration when Carlos was doing a great job backing the pack up, not allowing us to do the alternative strategy. I think we were half a car's length from winning the race had I got past Lando when I had the opportunity. I think we'd have been able to get past Carlos and then that last lap. I don't know what the hell happened there. Whether it was a lack of concentration, maybe frustration, knowing that that was our opportunity gone. A mistake of 1 or 2 centimetres has just put such a shadow over the whole weekend. One which would have been an amazing weekend. It was a really challenging race. You know, the tyres are dropping off and you're pushing the limits. It's how racing should be. You make a small mistake here and you're bitten for it. But it's heartbreaking after such a great weekend. The team did an amazing job. The car was great, the strategy was bang on, we were aggressive, we were bold, and it was exciting. It was really exciting out there, and it's heartbreaking to be standing here with no points. It definitely sums up the season I've been having this year." And when asked if he thought the risky strategy Mercedes tried during the Singapore Grand Prix was any good, he said, "Yeah, it was definitely worth it. I was willing to lose a position or two if that gave us half a chance of winning the race. We know if we were on the same strategy as Carlos, we weren't going to be able to overtake on track. But we were bold. I was managing my tyres as we were closing that gap because I knew I needed my tyres in the best state possible for those last 5 laps. It would have been challenging. I had Lewis behind, who was definitely pushing harder than I was. It's just such a shame. Just 1 or 2 centimetres mistake and the whole weekend was gone. So massively sorry to the whole team. They deserved more. We all deserved more. But I'm not going to let it cloud my weekend." One person from Mercedes who was definitely in high spirits was 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. Thanks to George Russell's fumble, Sir Lewis found himself on the podium. But even so, the most accomplished qualifier in the history of the sport acknowledged that Saturdays currently represent a weak point for him as he contemplated his experience at the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix. Speaking on the race, he said, "I think ultimately just not that great a weekend. I just made it really difficult for myself with a poor performance yesterday. But exciting at the end for us as a team. I knew that I wouldn't be able to get George because you need a big delta to overtake, but I thought we might be able to get a 1-2, but unfortunately we didn't do it. Qualifying is a big weakness for me, and making lots of changes to the car. We did a big change yesterday, and then it was learning a whole new car again, so it wasn't particularly enjoyable to drive, but it was good today, so there's definitely pros with the things we changed. It's just getting on top of this and figuring out how to maximise qualifying. Once I get my qualifying sorted, we'll be good. Toto Wolff, the head of Mercedes, will be offering his support to George Russell following the unfortunate incident that dashed his hopes of victory in Singapore. Reflecting on the race, Wolff shared his thoughts with Sky F1, saying, "It's super that Lewis is on the podium and he had a brilliant race. Also, at the end, he had pace. It's just a shame for George because he worked hard for that. It could have been a good third and fourth, lots of points, but now we lost 22 against Ferrari." The things he said on the radio, you can't say that on telly. It was just an unfortunate moment. He clipped the wall and there's a split-second mistake and it ends a great race. It's a shame because he would have deserved it. Having previously mentioned the impact of George Russell's crash on Mercedes' battle against Ferrari, Wolff was questioned about his approach to addressing the situation with the driver. When asked whether he would emphasise the seriousness of the matter or provide support to help Russell recover, Wolff confirmed that he would indeed opt for the latter approach, offering a comforting shoulder to assist him in bouncing back. Yeah, absolutely. The driver, you're devastated in such a moment, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. George Russell had discussed the advantage of having an additional set of fresh medium tyres after qualifying, recognising how this could potentially benefit Mercedes. This circumstance provided an opportunity for both him and Lewis Hamilton to take a risk with a two-stop strategy. During a virtual safety car period, Mercedes seized the chance to make a strategic move by double stacking their drivers and equipping them with fresh medium tyres. Explaining the decision-making to members of the media, Wolff said, "It was clear that it was so difficult to win the race if we were just static, so we said, let's go for it. We were robust. We went for it, and at the end it was a podium for Lewis. That's great." Wolff revealed that, according to their data and planning, a 1-2 finish was a feasible outcome for Mercedes. When questioned whether they could have secured a win for their team without deviating from the standard strategy, Wolff responded, "No, I don't think we would have been able to. That's why we took the risk. We knew worst case was third and fifth, but the best case a win. Our plan, where you see where you're coming out over several laps, it showed us first and second, but obviously that's the theory." Hamilton believed that their decision was justifiable, but he held reservations about whether George Russell should have given up his second-place position in order to make an additional pit stop. He said, "We needed to take the risk, have a shot at trying to get past some of these guys and go for the win. I think we had really good pace. I think the team did a great job. I don't know. I think for George, who was in second at the time, maybe if I was in his position, I probably would have stayed out and at least kept the McLaren behind. But we gave it a shot and it was really fun to be hunting these guys down." What do you have to say about George Russell's error during the Singapore Grand Prix? And if you were Toto Wolff, would you have executed the same strategy? Tell us in the comment section down below. And, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.